Hello, everybody. Welcome to Afternoon After School. My name is Caden, as you may know, and there's a big event happening right now at Dartmouth High School, and I would like my special guest to tell you what that is. Go. Mike's yours.
Hi, I'm Mr. Thibault, and it's my pleasure to be here on Afternoon After School with Caden. I'm a little bit disappointed that Mr. Gill made it on the show before me, but hey, what are you going to do, right? So
we got a character development for you.
So tonight is our open house. So we have parents touring the building, getting to meet their child's teachers tonight. Again, it's not about a individual progress report, but it's about opening up lines of communication so that our parents and our teachers can communicate.
All right, cool. And as you may have stated right now, tell us, what is happening here tonight?
We got open house. Like I said, we have parents from, the parents of our students are here touring the school, visiting with all of their children's teachers, getting to know how they can contact them, and really learning about the academic and behavior expectations for this school year and how they might support their son or daughter's success this school year.
What, as a person, Mr. Thibault, first of all, thank you so much for being on here. My next question for you, what are your goals this year at Dartmouth High School?
So one of the goals that we have for this school year is really to support innovation and risk-taking in the classroom. That's one of the driving forces behind the new schedule. I'm particularly excited about PACE.
PACE is a very good idea, in my opinion, but you go on.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. That's important to hear from our students because that's really what it's all about. It's about providing our students with increased ownership of their learning and the learning experience. So often in the United States, in our history, education has been, a factory model of education, preparing students to go off and work in factories, and so that's why you have the Bell schedule, and that's why you have Rose, and the 21st century is really quite different, right? It's here, and so we're trying to provide students with an educational experience that will prepare them for that 21st century.
Yeah. What specifically has caused you to switch the schedule besides the whole PACE thing? Because I know this is now, for me at least, my third schedule out of my 3 years of high school. What caused the change?
So a number of factors, right? So the first being that we're really receptive to feedback that we received. Yes. That's redundant, right? Receptive to feedback we received. Anyway, we're
alliteration.
We're mindful. We're very mindful of the fact that students as well as teachers reported a lot of difficulty transitioning to the 7-period schedule, right? And that's to be understood. We went from having 86-minute periods to having 50-minute periods. It's kind of like going from a walk to going to a sprint, or going from a marathon to a sprint. It's really quite different. And so I just think the pace of the day was a challenge for our students and for our teachers.
Yeah.
And we're also, so that's one issue. The other issue, though, is that we're really pushing blended, personalized, and project-based learning at Dartmouth High School. And so in order to support that, we need a schedule that allows for that deeper applied learning. And 50 minutes, it's hard to do that. And so 60 minutes, 62 minutes is probably that sweet spot where...
It's not like giving kids too many stress or pressure, because it's not like you have, there's 7 days on the schedule. There's A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. or numbers. I forgot what they were. Mind me, sorry. But you don't have the classes every day. Of those 7 days, you have each class 5 times. So like it doesn't give kids too much stress, you know. And I feel like that's very good.
Right. So that's certainly a benefit. The other benefit I'd just add is that we're about college and career readiness, right? And college, you don't have classes 5 days a week for 180 days, right? You have
It
classes
varies.
usually three times a week or 2 times in a week. You have to be able to manage your time.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, again, we just had.
Independence with pace and all that stuff.
Right. So I was just speaking to one of our parents during a PTO meeting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they said was their child is not struggling like they can't handle it, but
Yeah.
it's a huge adjustment for them to go from a structured day where you're going to 7 periods and we're telling you what time to that college atmosphere where the schedule is not structured like that, and you
Yeah.
have to be able to manage your time. So with the dropping 2 periods each day, it gives students an opportunity to develop that skill where you have to manage your time a little bit, and you have to build that ability to be able to, okay, you meet with a class on a Wednesday, and then it drops on Thursday, and you have to remember, what did we talk about on Wednesday? What assignments did I have? And so that management piece of it, that skill and ability to be able to manage time is important for our students to develop.
All right. My next question for you is as follows. What have you accomplished as your goal so far as working here at Dartmouth High School?
What have you accomplished What have we accomplished so far?
Yeah.
So I think we've
Your crew.
Sure. So I think we've accomplished a lot over the last couple of years at Dartmouth High School. I think one of the things that perhaps I'm proudest of is just the fact that we have successfully navigated 2 new schedule changes, and maybe that doesn't seem like a huge accomplishment, but nothing.
I mean, we survived.
Right. I would say we not only survived, but we came together last year. Administration met with students throughout the school year. We met with faculty members throughout the school year. And I think that what we did was to tweak it and create a schedule that is much more supportive of student learning. It's much more supportive of great teaching. And so I think that that's a good accomplishment. We also have an advisory program for the first time. Some of these issues are things that Dartmouth High School had been working on for a number of years, and I think that we've been able to accomplish that. So I'm proud of that. Beyond that, I think we continue to maintain, excellent music program. So that's the other thing, right? Knowing the history, we could never have a rotating schedule. They said because you wouldn't be able to have dual enrollment or the music programs and shared staff and things like that. And we were able to figure that out. We have a rotation, and it's not, not every class rotates, but several classes rotate, and yet we still have our shared music staff. We were able to figure out how to accomplish that. We were able to figure out how to preserve dual enrollment and internships. We're able to preserve partnerships like Mrs. Gilbo's early ed program, which is huge here at the school. So that's quite an accomplishment. Beyond that, some other things that I think we've accomplished. I think that Dartmouth High School is recognized across the state as being a school where innovative practices are in play.
It is.
It certainly is. So we opened the Innovation Lab.
Yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment.
A lot of technology there, I do admit, yeah.
I think technology has been improved throughout. Our one-to-one initiative is certainly an achievement that we're proud of. I think, though, that the important thing to highlight is, because you asked the question about my crew, it's not about my crew, it's about all of us. We're all in this together, and none of these things would have been accomplished without the support of the superintendent and central administration, without the buy-in of our teachers, faculty, and staff, as well as the student support. Sweet. So certainly I think we've had a number of accomplishments, but again, I emphasize the we part of it. It's all of us at Dartmouth High School.
That's really nice to hear how that you're willing to be it was a team effort. All of us, we did this together. It's really nice to hear. Mm-hmm. What aspects do you like about DHS? What are your favorite things when we say Dartmouth High School and now you work here? What pops up to you? What are your really good aspects do you like about it?
I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but the students here are the best students I've ever worked with. And so I've worked in Fall River at Durfee High School, and we had great students at Durfee. Don't get me wrong. Up in Oxford, we had some great students, but in terms of across the board,
Yeah.
I think the quality of the students in terms of work ethic, in terms of respect and politeness, in terms of being motivated, self-motivated. I just think the caliber of students that we work with at Dartmouth High School, we're so fortunate for that. So certainly I enjoy working with the students here at Dartmouth. The community's been very supportive as well. Again, I point to the one-to-one initiative that was supported. I point to the new field turf that we just.
Looks really nice, by the way. I've seen it once. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. And again, those are things that are beneficial to the entire community. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just our student athletes. Our music,
Yep.
our band program is deserving of the facility and gets to use the facility as well. So these
As a member of the band, kind of percussion, but like I know the kids are ecstatic to hear that like the field is now like turf. It's great.
Right. And so, again, none of this happens without the support of the entire community. And, certainly we want for nothing at Dartmouth, right? Meaning that there's nothing we have to say, oh, I'd really like to have that, or I really wish we had that. When requests are made, the community, whether it's the superintendent, whether it's the Dartmouth Education Foundation, whether it's our PTO, there are so many different groups that support us. Usually we can bring to bear the resources to get whatever those needs are. And so that's important. Just circling back to, you asked about some other accomplishments.
Yeah.
The technology in our STEM-related labs, so
Yes.
Mr. Brodsky, Mr. Martin,
Like-
we had an influx of $500,000 worth of equipment a couple of years back.
Really?
Yep, so we have state-of-the-art laser cutter CNC routers, and again, I'm not doing justice the technical names of the machinery that we have,
Don't
but
worry about it, it's all right.
I would encourage you maybe to have Mr. Martin or Mr. Brodsky on in one of your afternoon shows, because I think that a lot of our students don't realize how many different pieces of equipment that is available to them. It's really is phenomenal. So.
My next question for you, you might have already said some information, but maybe we can go more into detail about what are your thoughts about PACE?
I think PACE is a tremendous opportunity for our students. It's an opportunity to personalize their education. Again, it's something that I wish I had as a student, because I went to school not that long ago, so don't laugh, no age jokes. But I graduated from high school in 2001. And we didn't have a PACE period. We were told, 7 periods, go here, go here, go here, go here, and it was a sprint through the day.
Yeah.
I would have loved the opportunity during the day to meet with clubs and activities advisors, or to meet and get academic support from a teacher, or to work out. Again, another great part of Dartmouth High School is our fitness room, and so it's been really, I've enjoyed PACE because I've gotten out and I've gotten to see the different dynamic uses of the PACE period. Just in one math class that I visited, there were 2 students who were learning to play chess with Mr. York, who's our chess club advisor. There were students who were in the class working on math work and getting academic support from math.
Yeah.
And so all of those different uses in the same classroom, it's been phenomenal.
Now, Mr. Thibault, what issues do you have at Dartmouth High School, or with the generation that I am in?
Well, I don't think we have any issues with the generation you're in, but Dartmouth High School, like any high school, we do face some challenges, right? And so, as you know from today's advisory session, one of those challenges that we're focused on addressing is the issue of vaping. Again, I would just stress that it's not an issue that's unique to Dartmouth High School. If you watch the nightly news, they've run segments on it the last several weeks. And so we're trying to be proactive. We're trying to get information out to students in advisory so that they're making informed decisions and they understand the resources that are available to help them quit. Also, we want them to be aware of what the consequences are should they engage in that activity during school. So certainly that is a challenge that our students face and our school faces, but again, I would just stress it's not unique to Dartmouth High School, unfortunately. It's an epidemic.
It's all over the place.
Right.
And now, my very last question for you, Ross, Mr. Thibault, the man, the myth, the legend, the principal of Dartmouth High School. What is your favorite color?
Maroon. Definitely maroon. See the tie.
And the background's different.
Oh, look at that.
But yeah.
Fancy. Maroon, a close second would be green and white, I would say.
Dartmouth.
That's right.
But yeah, this has been Afternoon After School, Season 2, hosted by Caden and Lisa, as you can see right over here. This is the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
Hello, I'm here from the DHS open house with...
Mr. Martin, CAD and engineering teacher here at Dartmouth High School.
What do students do in the CAD and engineering program?
We design different types of programs, three-dimensional software, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, VCarve. We then take our designs and cut them out in some of the new machinery we purchased, so it's pretty cool.
Sounds interesting. So do the students get to use like 3D printers, Tinkercad, like...
We use a little bit of SolidWorks mostly. We do have multiple 3D printers that we have available to the students, so yeah.
Examples of the CAD and engineering program. Very, very interesting, I have to say. All right. Hello again. Right, I am here now with...
Mr. Brian Guillot. I'm the computer science teacher here.
Right, what do the students usually do in computer science?
So in computer science, we try to teach them the fundamentals of everything that involves technology. And in intro to computer science, we like to try to get them to understand the basics of coding. So we write code in different languages to try to make like animations and games, like things like that.
What software would you use for that?
So for the introduction class, we use a website called code.org, and they program in a language called, what's a version of JavaScript.
What program do you use for that?
So for AP Computer Science, we use this curriculum called Mobile CSP. So MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, invented this language called the App Inventor, and that's what they use there. So it's like a drag and drop type thing.
Sounds really interesting. I'm reading that this class also deals with mobile app development. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Mobile app development is using the same thing, the MIT's App Inventor, and you program things on Android devices.
Upstate. Kyle Silva, back again with...
Mr. Taylor Souza.
And what class do you teach? In chemistry, do the students get to work with chemicals? What usually goes on in the class?
So it depends. Usually the start of the unit, it's a lot more paper-based, trying to get used to the theory. And then for each unit, there's a lab associated, or 2 labs associated. So then they'd get into the lab and they work with chemicals or whatever experiment we have set up.
Oh, so there is a separate lab away from the regular classroom for what would you typically work with in the class? Like what chemicals would you work with when doing a lab?
So it depends on the experiment, but sometimes if they're going to make something, like they're going to synthesize a compound, they'll use different types of salts, like sodium chloride, magnesium chloride. They use different metals, copper, magnesium, things like that.
Have you ever worked with gallium before?
I haven't worked with it, I've played with it, because it melts in your hands.
I'm Kyle, and I'm here with...
Mrs. Costa.
What do you teach, Mrs. Costa?
I teach math.
What type of math? Algebra, geometry?
I teach Algebra 2 and Pre-Calc.
Interesting. So what usually happens in Pre-Calc? What do the students usually learn?
Well, they'll learn about different things. We start off by reviewing a little bit of Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Then we move into more Pre-Calc topics like conic sections, the systems of matrices, and other topics. We finish off with limits.
Nice. About the review for algebra, what do you touch upon in terms of that? Because I know algebra is somewhat slopes.
Yes, we learn slopes in Algebra 1. However, in Algebra 2, there's a lot more. to learn. So we review slopes of lines, like you mentioned, because they will need that even though it's pre-calc, they will need that. When we talk about, for example, slant asymptotes, and we do review the long division of polynomials as well.
I'm Kyle Silva, and I'm here on the seafloor with
Jessica Brittingham.
Ann Fifield.
And Tara Kearney.
What subjects do you all teach?
Mostly freshman English, but I also teach film and theater.
Mostly juniors, but also AP seminar.
I teach mostly 9th grade English, but I also teach one section of AP language.
Okay, great. What usually goes on in those classes?
Well, mostly group work. There's lots of group work, lots of projects. Reading and writing, obviously, because it's English. But mostly skill building. That's really what I focus on with the freshmen.
Nice.
So a lot of research, reading, writing. They have to figure out, what credible sources are. They have to do good presentations, things like that.
We do a lot of group work in 9th grade. We're working on building a tiny house for a character from the novel we're reading right now, so that's kind of our first big project of the year. And then in AP, it's the same thing as Miss Fifield said. We're kind of building on skills to kind of see what kind of arguments kind of speakers come up with and why it's important.
So what novel are you reading in your class?
We're reading the novel The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian currently by Sherman Alexie.
Are you reading any novels in your classes?
I'm getting ready to start the exact same novel, but right now my kids are reading an independent reading choice to work on annotation skills.
My kids, one group is about to start A Man Called Uva, and one group just started Sula.
I really want to read that. I need to read that.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kyle Silva, still on the seafloor, and I'm here with...
Miss O'Neill.
What do you teach, Miss O'Neill?
U.S. History 1 and 2.
As a lie, I read history honors.
Well, yeah, if you would like to differentiate, honors and college prep.
So what usually happens in the honors and college prep classes?
We try to study and love history as much as we can.
Awesome.
All right, big question. Sure. I think I'm going to ask this to the next history teacher. Which would you rather teach, U.S. history or world history?
Hands down, U.S. history. I taught world, it didn't go very well.
In the honors class, how fast does it go? Like, how fast do we touch upon each new subject and unit?
It's not as fast, it's just a little bit more difficult than the college prep.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm pretty sure we're recording.